All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Manar Samad. I'm a professor of computer science here in the United States. I do get a lot of emails from international students expressing their interest in our master's and PhD program. I do owe them a response in either positive or negative ways, but because of time constraint, I may not be able to answer many of those emails. There are a lot of students out there looking for information and looking for better plans to apply for schools in the United States. So I thought I should better appear before camera and have some sort of discussion and share our opinions and perspectives. So one of the reasons we would like to have this podcast, and this is going to be the very first podcast of this kind from my side, and I hope this is not going to be the very last one, is not only to share our perspectives sitting in academia, but also engage people from the industry to better understand their needs and perspective as they hire our international students or our graduate students. And there are certain concerns regarding the gaps between industry and academia, and as well as how to better do research, how to be more productive in research, and how to choose those career paths as the students fly from other countries to the United States. So without further ado, we're going to introduce our very first guest, Mr. Asif Syed. Asif, very warm welcome to the very first show. Good morning. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having me. Good morning and hello everyone. I'm Asif and I'm currently working as a supply chain data analyst at the Home Depot. I have graduated from West Virginia University last December. I have completed my master's in industrial engineering and worked as a graduate teaching assistant and graduate research assistant for almost 2 years.
Okay, great. Thank you for taking your relaxing time from your Sunday mornings. So we would like to keep this question and answer session very short, within 10 to 15 minutes. And I would request the viewers to post their comments and any questions they may have for us so that we can better prepare for our future discussions as we go along. So let me try to understand your background. So your background is industrial engineering, and what type of research did you do, and what type of classes did you assist with teaching?
Um, so as it is actually interesting right now. Most of the university professors are focusing on solving their problems with machine learning and artificial intelligence. So my research background in masters was solving the marine surveillance with using the a deep neural network and machine learning. And when I was a teaching assistant, I used to grade the courses of one system engineering course and another was aggregate production planning. And the courses I have taken for my master's mostly was linear programming, supply chain management, operation research. Those are the courses I have taken for completing my master's.
Okay, great. Just to let the viewers know that even in sitting in computer science, I'm very interested to learn about other disciplines, health science, supply chain, industrial engineering. So I'm open to um, hear how research is going on in other disciplines as well. So I'm not keeping myself very limited to computer science alone. So that's great. So let's go to the question and answer sessions to be very focused for this. So my first question would be, how did you prepare for your graduate school, and whether or not you've had anyone else who inspired you? You know, there are sometimes seniors who set the path for future students, prospective students. That 2 or 3 students from my school went to Cornell or went to West Virginia, and they set the path and they kind of inspired the other students to apply for graduate schools in the United States.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, I began my preparation of when I was in my third year of undergrad. It was just an initial thought that actually helped me to, okay, I will pursue the higher study. It was not anything like intensive preparation, just the mental preparation. Like, okay, I can go for actually higher study. That that began the preparation phase. I have joined com community in Facebook, like how the students, like how they are preparing for higher studies. Then talk to my seniors and peers, like what are the things I need to focus on. That actually, that actually helped me to start thinking what should be my priority to get into higher studies, especially for masters. So the only thing at that time I could focus on was my increasing my GPA. That's, I think, one of the most crucial
Excellent.
things that
Yes.
everyone thinks like, okay, this is only third year, what can I do, right? I think the only thing you can do is like improving your GPA, and
Wonderful.
that lead you to another different thing. Like when you are trying to improve your GPA, you have to focus on your study. So you have already prepared, started the preparation by focusing on your study, which is really a necessity for if you are going to pursue masters, PhD, anything in your life. Like start focusing on study. Second thing, as I have seen, like people are getting funded as a research assistant. I thought like, okay, my thesis could be, a pivotal point for me, which can help me to at least expose how research are done, right? It's not like how the courses we took. It's a different way. Like start a problem and maybe, like looking things from a different perspective. So I started focusing on my undergrad thesis. I think I have worked really hard more than other students in my I mean in my undergrad, since I knew that this could be a thing that I could talk about in my SOP, or when I have a meeting, I would have a meeting with my professor, right? So those two things. But my intensive preparation, which we always think like the main preparation, taking for the GRE, then IELTS or TOEFL, and searching for the university professors and apply for the university, that started at the last semester of my undergrad.
Hmm.
But since the pandemic hit at the time,
Hmm.
I got some extra time. Like, so it took like after I mean, I start my application after 1 year of my graduation from undergrad.
So great. So you do have some seniors who set the path actually. So you do have some sort of inspirations, right? That's correct.
Um, I wouldn't
Because
say
because
like
here is my perspective. What I have seen that the students coming from suburban areas who are not living in capital metropolis, um, they don't get the exposure or preparation or whatever uh,
mhm.
when it comes to apply for GRE and TOEFL and other things, and they end up going to countries where they do not require GRE, TOEFL because they haven't been exposed to that level of preparation or some examples. I hope that was not the case with you.
You're so right. Actually, if you're from the suburban,
Yeah.
you are not exposed to all of the things that required for getting into the higher studies. So in my university, there are some career club, right? Those who are arranging some of the sessions on GRE and everything. I used to participate on those the seniors who have already sit for the GREs and everything. But it was not a single individual who has inspired
Okay.
me.
Sounds good.
Since it's like I think that's the best thing I can say. Like if you know like what are you going to do after 2 years or 1 year, you make your surrounding in such a way that you only surrounded by the people who are aligned with your goal. That's what happened with me.
Okay.
uh, I always talked with my peers and my seniors who have the same aligned goals, and the more we discuss about these things, we feel like okay, we can do that. So that's a sort of inspiration. Unfortunately, in our direct senior, like they haven't set the path for us, but um, since the pandemic hit, like everyone was thinking like, okay, higher study could be a great opportunity, because most of the time, like directly after the undergraduate, they used to go for the job market, right?
Mhm.
So because higher study is tougher, you need to prepare for that. So in my university, it was not a culture. I mean, not my university, in my actually department. Maybe in different department, it's a different types of environment. But from my department, we didn't have that culture like going abroad for higher study.
I see.
But pandemic has changed everything.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. So you
Yeah.
started to apply when you were at the final year of your undergrad. So how did you apply to school, and how many schools did you apply, and how did you contact the professors? Usually you send an email to the professors, and the professors will sometimes respond with a very generic reply saying that, oh, you just go ahead and apply to graduate schools, right? Without giving any sort of confirmation. And at the same time, the student it could be in a situation where he is still deciding whether to sit for GRE exam, do the TOEFL. So they sometimes want to get the confirmation from the professor before they do all sort of things, because applying to schools, graduate schools, can be very expensive, right?
Exactly.
What was your approach in selecting those schools, and how many schools you applied, and how you approached those professors? Very briefly. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's the one of the most crucial decision. So as I have appeared for the GRE before even like contacting the professors, and so it's a little bit different scenario for my case. So after I got my GRE score, I knew that okay, this is my profile. With this kind of profile, I can go to this range of ranking school, right? Because like every school has kind of criteria, like they would select student based on the particular ranking. Same goes for the professors and lab as well. That's what I believe. So I went to the US news ranking, and I have selected some of the schools, and I went to the website of the school to check like what are the who are the professors over there and what are they working on. At the time, I wasn't feel familiar with LinkedIn so much, so I mostly dependent on the website. I think I had a list of like 100 to 200 professors, like about their workings, what they are working on, and whether they are currently looking for looking for a student. So based on that, like I feel like okay, I'm going to email the professors about what I did in my undergrad and wait for the response. But at the same time, based on my profile, I will start applying since the time is going very fast. So I applied to 8 university, and I have landed 2 meetings with 2 professors. I have made a lot of mistakes, but I think after landing my first opportunity with one professor, I knew that what is working, what's not working. Since
So
we
if I may interrupt, so you said you applied to 100 schools,
no,
80
I
schools,
have up
80
8 schools.
schools. How did you select those 80 schools out of 100?
Okay, so I selected those school where like our previous. I mean, I'm from Bangladesh, so where the students from Bangladesh are already studying
Yeah,
there.
makes perfect
Uh,
sense. This is exactly
yeah,
what I recommend. International
yes.
students do this. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I think that's important since they know your country and they know that okay, you could
They
be a
know your
potential
school,
candidate.
and they know your
Exactly.
graduates, right? They know your
Exactly.
alumni, that so you're maximizing your chances of getting funded there.
Exactly.
Okay. So out of out of 8 professors, or out of 8 schools, so how many professors did you email? So you applied to 80 schools, but did you email to professors from those 80 schools, or you applied all over?
I have applied all over. I
Okay.
mean, the for the professors, like whenever I see some matches with my work,
Okay.
I try to apply.
And
Even though like
what
since
was
I
the
was just
response rate? What was the response rate out of 100? Let's say you
uh
applied.
it, it wasn't a good response rate initially. Like I got a lot of rejections since I just
No, I'm
graduated
not talking
again.
about rejection or acceptance. I'm just talking about response. So many
Oh, the
professors
response.
don't respond to you.
Okay. Um, I think I have got almost like 60% of response
Okay,
rate.
that's great.
Uh,
That's
yeah,
that's
that's a
that's
good
good.
thing
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
Since if
Mhm.
you know, I believe like if you know how to craft an email with a professional look, and
Right.
at least you know you are on point, you are not making things harder for the professor because
You have to.
I
You
think
also have to do the homework on the
exactly.
professor before you write. Sending a generic email doesn't help, actually.
Yes, I think the best way is not try to outsmart the professor. Just keep things like very simple
Oh,
and your core skills and know that he requires a student. I think that's the best way to get an opportunity to meet with him. That's what I believe.
so I'm gonna have a different podcast on masters versus PhD. So we're not gonna have that topic
Mhm.
today. Then the next question is, what factors do you think played the most role in securing a funding position? Was it your GRE, GPA, or a combination of everything else? I mean, what was the thing your professor was most impressed about you?
I would say my theory scores and
Okay.
my GPA. Since I just graduated from the undergrad, I didn't have any publications, though I have my
Okay.
thesis. So I think I already told you like I focused on my study and I got good GPA. So I think that helped me a lot. Because
Mhm.
everybody thinks like if you have to if you want to continue research on anything, you need to be continuously progressing on a study as well. So it means if you have a good GPA score, it means like kind of you are consistent with your study.
Absolutely. I mean, this is what I tell my colleagues and students that GPA, good GPA is not necessarily a marker of smartness. It tells you how much sincere you are in taking your responsibilities. Did you do your homework on time? Did you submit? Did you prepare yourself for the exam on time? Or did you take the responsibility? So GPA tells me that the student did his job on time without procrastinating, without dealing whatsoever. Um, so that is important. So you're saying that your undergraduate research that you
Yes.
want to promote in this process didn't help much, or is that what you're saying?
Not really. Yeah, I'm not saying like it didn't help much, but I would say like since my undergrad research was on 3D printing, which is a
Okay.
different domain that I
Mhm.
was pursuing my higher study. So
Mhm.
that's why I believe, I'm not sure, but I believe the most weight has been got is my GPA and GRE scores. But I believe like that research has helped me like in later in my life as like intensively, because at that time like when I started my masters, I knew like what to expect as a research assistant.
Okay. So we're going to have a separate podcast on this question that I often get from students, that I did my undergraduate research on XYZ topic, and
Hmm.
then here is a professor who works on ABC topic.
Hmm.
Would that be a good idea to make the jump from this topic, or to put this in another perspective, that what undergraduate concentration or what undergraduate major minor I should consider um, to go or to select a certain research path or area? Does it really matter? Right? Those are some of the questions I get, and we can have a separate podcast on that. So the last question
Definitely.
I have for you is, um, how much time did you spend preparing for the GRE and TOEFL? Because what I understand from your experience, and this is also true for those who are applying for a job, and how to apply for a job, that could be a separate podcast once again, everyone.
Definitely.
Um, so I usually tell my students, hey, applying for a job is also a full-time job, right? And
Right. Exactly.
to some extent, because you have to do research on 100 universities, right? And that takes a lot of time out of your study schedule. So how did you manage your time, and how much time you spend? And did you have any type of routine or a schedule that you usually followed? Did you form some sort of group? Because usually for TOEFL and English is speaking with that type of nature, what I recommend my students and other people is to have a good buddy who is equally willing to communicate in English without getting humiliated of not speaking native language in home country. So what was your strategy in that case?
Is it for the GRE or an IELTS or like
GRE,
the whole
TOEFL in
process?
general. So this is a, let's assume this is a package and this is a plan for a bigger goal. Um,
Okay.
or
So
you had plans for these two separately, right? So the time when you were preparing for GRE, you didn't focus on TOEFL. And once you're done with your GRE, and then you focused on TOEFL, right? So that could be.
okay. I would say I took a long a long range of preparation for GRE. Since I told you, like at that time the pandemic hit, so I got some handful amount of time for that one. So it was almost, sometimes some people say like, for me it was like almost 7 to 8 months of preparation. But for the IELTS I took like only 2 weeks. Since the strategy I always follow is like, um, stick to one plan. I mean, you'll see a lot of resources. In the end, like if you follow a lot of resources, you'll do nothing. Follow one or two resources, understand your weakness, work on your weakness. I think that's the best thing you can do. Different people has different kind of learning approach. I think
Absolutely.
focusing on what you are best at is actually makes you unique, and also you can get good result out of it. And what I have felt like, you don't have to prepare like, okay, 10 hours a day, 15 hours a day. It depends like, okay, what's your ideal study time? So my time was like from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. or like 1 p.m. That's it. Like I studied that hard, and okay, today I have achieved that goal. I will be relaxing or whatever I do. I mean, obviously, I will go for playing soccer and everything, but like 5 to 6 hours, my peak study hours, I have given to GRE. So that's I to that day I have achieved goal. I try to solve the problem. I try to know what are my weakness, and next day I have the plan for, okay, I'll do that. One most important thing is never break the streak, because if you are not consistent anyway, like you will fall behind. I would say that this is the best thing. Like
Right.
if it is 2 hours every day,
Mhm.
if it is 1 hour every day, don't you have to do like 10 hours and then the whole week you are not doing anything. That doesn't help anyway. So that was my only strategy I had. And I had friends from Discord, which is kind of a gaming channel. So I used to talk with some of my friends from Pakistan and India, like um, in English, so that at least I'm not shy while talking. Even though I have mistake, like they try to correct me. Okay, maybe you can use it in this way, right? You can use the particular phrase in a different way. So that way, I think I have dealt with my inertia. That's the best thing, because the best way to communicate with just going on, not focusing on like, okay, I have made a mistake now. I have to stop and correcting that. That was the mistake I was making before. So those are the two things I followed during my GRE time and IELTS time. Stick with few resources and give my most pivotal time of the day to my only one goal. That's clearing my GRE.
Wonderful. I really like it. Yes, I mean, being motivated is the key. I mean, I see a lot of excitement from the student. Oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. So after first couple of weeks, the motivation just fades away, right? So being persistent and having the perseverance is very important. And I like the approach that you reach out to international people to talk and chat to improve your English, which is fantastic because I tell my students that 15 or 20 years ago, we didn't have internet resources as much as we do right now. So there are a lot of
Exactly.
tools out there that you can leverage at your advantage to improve your skills. So why don't you just go ahead and use those? So it was very nice talking to you this morning, Asif, and I really appreciate your time. So we need to keep it short, and we're gonna stop for today. And I will let our viewers post their comments and questions if they may have. And we look forward to our next podcast, hopefully, if everything goes well.
Yeah.
And enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Bye bye.